Bump. Well, I think for some reason I look bigger today. I think I fell off the keto yesterday, Matt. I look swollen. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Bob.
You look skinny. I look swollen. It's amazing because we have these video evidence every day. Davio, he's going to lead the band that we're starting. The band's name is Pissing Ketones. And look at him. He's svelte. He's looking good, feeling good. Good place to put him. Market Vitals is the stream. MarketVitals.io is our community. Matt, good morning to you on a Friday.
Good morning, Bob.
Full moon-ish. And the market just on a tear. Bull market, bear market. Bear market, bull is what we got going on.
Depends on your time frame, right?
Depends on your time frame, 100%. Know your time frames, know your risk.
It's been
Matt,
very bullish.
We got a great tournament going on.
How about it?
And
bracket busters all over. Bracket busters all over. Nobody had St. Pete's and nobody had whoever Iowa lost to, especially the way they were playing at the end of the year.
Unreal.
Shocking.
Morgan State, right? Beat Iowa.
No, was it that who it was?
No,
Murray,
it wasn't.
Murray State?
Maybe, definitely.
Yeah.
100% definitely, probably. Anyway, Matt, you shared this. Shaka Smart now lost 7 straight NCAA tournament games. First rounders mostly, right? 3 different teams.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, it's amazing how sometimes a coach can get less talented kids to overperform because he got these great lucrative jobs because that's what he did at VCU, right? There were great Cinderella stories, and now he's got the best talent in the world and he can't get anything done. Nuance.
Well, he was at Texas. He had a little short, layover there, and now he's at Marquette, which, is still, it's a basketball power, Al McGuire, for God's sake. They love basketball at Marquette. They love it.
Absolutely. And a storied tradition. Hold on, Matt. We got the game on here in the background, both of us. I got the game on.
Well, they're just coming on, so we're not missing anything. They don't start for 15 minutes.
All right, listen, let's talk about a few things. Let me share if I could.
You're all set, Bob.
I'm all set to share. All right.
You're all
let me share.
Please do.
Our good friend, and I say that in sincerity, Joe Piscopo. We use some of his I use a lot of Joe's lines. He's been a funny guy for a long time. And it's St. Joseph's Day, Madam. You're an Italian. And he shared a little St. Joseph's prayer. Oh, glorious St. Joseph, spouse of the Immaculate Virgin Mary, attain me pure, humble, and charitable mind. You can read the prayer. You could save it. You can search Joe Piscopo on Twitter. Matt, we talk about the age of irony all the time, right? And I did not know that St. Patrick was an Italian. Mm-hmm. So we got the Irish beholden to an Italian saint named Patrick. And then you got the Italians claiming St. Joseph as their saint. And let's face it, he was from the Middle East and was a Jew. So we have irony everywhere in the world. But I just remember going up to an office, a St. Joseph office party in Chicago, a bunch of Italians. They had, the whole Italian buffet going, and they were like saying, "Our guy, St. Joseph, our guy." And had I known at the time that's, he's your guy, just like St. Patrick's is my guy. Amazing irony in the world.
Well, and don't forget, the St. Joseph the statue is also what you use when you're selling your house. So don't forget about that.
Well, we've talked housing, and it seems a little precarious, especially on the chart. And we love to talk price discovery. So we're going to do that here.
Yep.
If I can bring this headline up. And this is from Yahoo Finance from the 15th, Matt. And let me bring it up. You know what? We'll just leave it there. I don't need to bring it up on screen. S&P experienced consumer credit default indices show third straight increase in composite rate in February, 2022. The bank card default rate up 13 basis points to 2.15%. Matt, when you're faced with, and believe me, let me just throw a little sincere honesty here, because as a commodity trader, I myself have suffered booms and busts for sure. And let me tell you something, when it's between the mortgage and the credit card bill, the mortgage gets paid, right? When it's between the bank payment and the credit card bill, the car payment, the car payment gets paid. When it's between food and the mortgage, you buy the food and you stop paying the mortgage. I mean, these things are cascading, and for sure, that's not a healthy sign for the economy. Not only that, is it not healthy for the economy, it's not healthy for credit card issuers, right? As that default spikes, it's a problem. And go ahead, because you noticed it first, just looking through your charts as you do, and this started to become evident to you.
Well, I want to start first of all with celebrating this great rally that we've had. 72 hours, 10% on the NASDAQ was hit today, as we have traded 14,278. We talked about it Monday's show when we were down there at 13,000, and we actually went to 12,942. So 12,942 is your low on Tuesday morning. And here we are 72 hours later, and we're at 14,242 right now on the NASDAQ. The Russell, however, didn't even test this low that we tested in the NASDAQ these last couple times, right? But I guess you could say that was the test from here. So it was kind of leading, made a low, made a lower low, and then higher lows. Well, at least one, and then the other one went lower again, but they're still higher than this low. And then it just skyrocketed, and right now it happens to have peaked at 73. 2073 was the high here on this move this morning.
And again, a giant bracket. We talked about this yesterday.
Like we
brackets and brackets.
Exactly. We talked about these brackets going way back, right? We were stuck in those brackets, a year ago, and that was that range. Now we're in another bracket. So this is really important for people to, pay attention to, because we're pausing. We're in this range again, right? And the next move, I think, will come if we get above 2,100. We could get up to this 2,200. That's kind of how I see it. And if we go back below 1,880, again, you're talking, what is that, a 230 point range here or so, Bob? So 220. So, that's where we are. We're definitely way overbought now for the last 3 days, because everything has gone up 10%. So I wouldn't necessarily be chasing here, but we're coming back into, and then you come into this kind of bottom range. Really, this is a wedge that I've drawn, but there's also, the really pretty nice bottom there. So I don't know. To me, it just feels like we're setting the next stage for the next move, higher or lower. My gut is probably lower, but nothing. Let's get on with some of the.
Yeah, let's look at those consumer credit stocks, because like so many things that we've pointed out that were just ridiculously on the moon. From both of our opinion, from a business standpoint, like the Peloton thing. Like, are you kidding me? Stationary bikes are worth it. I mean, these are actual companies that make profit, though.
Yeah. And you can see this is Discover. So this is Discover Financial Cards, right? And they peaked most recently here in July, and they've been kind of doing what the small caps did, right? They were chopping around. And just recently we broke through, this level here. So this level was kind of holding, and we're now right back, like we came back to it. So we're giving this to you on a day where this is a good probably place to enter. And obviously your backstop is way up here at 136, but again, you could sell 136 strikes all day and say, or you could just sell the stock outright at 113. There's a lot of ways to play it. You can buy puts, in the money puts, right? And give yourself some time. But I think, we're going to trade back to $80 here. So it's not super sexy, and it's not going to go to zero. That's not what we're saying, but
Exactly, but they get squeezed just like the consumer.
But there's a
gets
trade
squeezed.
coming here. There's and again, this makes a lot of sense because we're going to go back to where we were at least, this kind of where we were before COVID, right? And that's this, and it happens to line up very nicely with the point of control also on the profile. And this is a daily chart, so we're looking at 4 or 5 years here, and the cycle seems to be running out of it's run out of gas, I would say. And again, that little bounce, this little dead cat bounce that we had all through the other markets has given you a nice entry into Discover. It's down 10 cents today, but that was after rallying from 101. So again, bounced off 101 up here to 113. That's a big move. That's a big move for a stock that, trades a couple million shares a day, pays a dividend 1.76. So again, consumers going to get stretched here. You and I believe. So I think that's a good play to play that to the dark side. You got some time. Capital One, again, these are the same kind of companies. I would say Capital One's consumer base is probably more risky than Discover, but they're both kind of in the same, they're not American Express.
Remember when American Express used to be very discerning?
Yeah, they used to.
But yeah, I mean, it couldn't be clearer to me. First of all, it couldn't be clearer to me that this just isn't transition or transitory inflation. Like, this is going to be around. I'm not saying it's going to be around for, a year or two, but it's definitely going to be around through the summer. How could gas prices come down in the summer although, there's also that demand crushing effect. Like, we were going to drive to, X for a vacation, but like, we can't even afford the gas now.
Yeah, we can't afford the food to put in the car. It's feed
right.
the kids as we're going.
So everything gets squeezed,
right? Including
paying off your credit card.
Correct. So that one, same thing. It's bounced here. It traded down here to 123, 122. Big 10% bounce again. So again, everything. And when you see markets like this where everything moves, this is a good indication that it's nothing but a dead cat bounce. And so we've had a week with quad witching ending this week of this action happening. And, again, I think after this witching day is done, I think it's probably going to be, we might be done with this move. If we can't get over, especially in the NASDAQ, if we can't get over 14.4 here on a close, what else is left? What's going to, I don't know, unless they just keep the algo on for a little while, who knows? But, they cut the rates already Wednesday. So that's why we're rallying, because they should have cut them like 2%. And they cut them.
Well, I mean, we talked about it yesterday too. The other benefit that the market continues to have is the Fed is still expanding their balance sheet.
Yeah.
And so, it's still they're still dovish from their balance sheet standpoint, for sure.
So the next one is One Main. I'm sure you've seen their commercials or their flyers. Matter of fact, I get stuff from them all the time. They want to give me money. So it's so easy to give me money, apparently. But, with that is huge interest rates. Like, these products are insane, right?
Well, I mean, that was interesting to think about the 2.15% default rate. That's a pimple, because they got 18% rates.
Right.
I mean, they're still killing it.
So the interesting thing about that, I'm not that familiar with this company, but I'm looking at it. It pays a huge dividend, 8.43%. How about that?
Are you shitting me?
No,
that's the best one that we've seen.
I
thought Altria. What was Altria, like 7%?
Yeah, we've seen some in the 7s, but yeah. And again, so as this goes lower, and to me, it looks like, we're at 45 again, bounced a little bit off of 42, trades, $1.5 million a day, but you can put on some size here, and any bounces again, it already kind of broke through this. This was kind of the bottom, and that was the old high from pre-COVID. So this one's already tested the pre-COVID high, right? And it's going to go lower again. I think it's going to go down here to 33, 35 bucks. So we're at 45. Any rallies sell, but again, be aware that you got a dividend problem if you're shorting the stock. So if you're ex dividend and you're short, you get dinged again. So, there's puts might be the way to do it on this one. Just another thing to kind of consider. And then the fourth name that I had, Bob, was regional management. which is another lender, RM. And I wanted to get ones that, this one doesn't have as much volume. It only trades about 50,000 shares a day. So it's probably the worst of the bunch. But again, you can see a nice rolling over top pattern, right? I'm not predicting the top here. It's kind of already happened. You know where the top is, at least on a risk perspective. So trading 45, it spiked up there to 67. Looks like post dividend again. Yeah, that's what that was. And it pays 2.7%. So this is regional management, another, paycheck lender. I don't know exactly what kind of lending they do, but there's been a lot of,
how many charts have we brought up over the past year that got onto the right side, and things are different. I think everybody realizes that it's just different than it was in 2020 on the rally. The BTF, the government's not going to stimulate anymore. It's just different. The Fed can't just forever continue to expand their balance sheet. One would postulate anyway.
Right.
And so full right sides mean they come all the way back to those points of control, those longer term points of control. And it's been evident on so many charts that we've shared, from Tesla to Peloton to our boy Davey at Penn Gaming. On and on and on. The full right side usually comes back to at least that long-term point of control. Very minimum, the long-term high of value.
Yeah. Well, Coinbase is another one. We've talked about this thing, it hasn't been around that long, but it has made, it's interesting. I wanted to just bring this up. Whoops. I don't know how I got that there.
His lightsaber went bananas, folks.
Oh, Luke, you are not my father. This has been, got down to like 146 and it's bouncing again here, but this is not a pretty chart. Again, for all you bit heads out there, we haven't talked about Bitcoin in a while, but it's sitting right at 40,000. It's not going higher and it's not going lower. It's pausing again, right? So
it has been pausing for months and months now.
Yeah. So, but to me, I think we're just waiting for, the next shoe to drop there. I don't know what that shoe will be. I can't, but you can see that very tightly in here. And again, this is the more time we spend here and not going up and not going down. And then eventually when it does go one way or the other, it's going to be, it's not violent. It's going to be violent when it does move. So again, everybody's predicting it's going to go shooting to the moon here. Again, if with everything that's going on in the world, I would think just like the gold bugs, if you believe the story that Bitcoin is different, it should be going up, but it's not. So to me, it's, again, who is it, the tail wagging the dog or the dog wagging the tail here? In other words, everybody's, acting like Bitcoin's different, but it's not showing any difference, versus the rest of the market.
Very intuitive, Matt.
All
right. It's a Friday. We like to keep it short and sweet on a Friday for sure. What else you got? Anything else? What do you got today in the NCAA that you're jonesing for? Any game that you're jonesing for?
And
I know you're jonesing for the Michigan game tomorrow.
Oh, I need a break. Honestly, which games are, Villanova, Notre Dame, Alabama will be a good game. That's a 1:15 West Coast 4:00 game. That's number 11 versus Notre Dame. Again, the Catholics versus Alabama, the convicts. And Virginia, Texas would be another. These 11-6, 11-6 games are always intriguing. I think that's what it was yesterday. I think somehow Iowa was a 5 and they lost to the 12, like you said. Iowa State and LSU should be a good game, and that's another 6-11. So it's, again, I'm just looking at the teams, and then I look at and then UAB Houston could be a fun game. Michigan State, upset alert, I don't know. And then TCU Seton Hall is the late game here, 6:57 tip. I love that we get done early here on the West Coast, by the way.
It is great.
Versus
3 of my final 4 teams are alive. Gonzaga, St. Mary's, Providence, all move on. We got the Ramblers of Loyola, the University north side of Chicago. I don't know who do they got today, but I got them in the Final Four.
Oh, they have Ohio State. That's the first game right now. It's going on right now.
Oh, beautiful. I can't wait to tune it in while this market chops at the highs. Yep. Sister Jean, Loyola, let's go Ramblers. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, a lot of people are predicting an upset here. And I think, that's when you look at the stats and everything, Ohio State's not that good. Even Michigan's
and coming from a Michigan man, never does he enjoy something more than getting to say that. Man, how many days since Ohio State beat Michigan in football, by the way?
Oh, I don't know.
900, right?
It's approaching 900. It'll be 3 years or so by the time we get to November.
All right, Matt. It's the weekend. What do you got? Give me a song, music wise, to.
Well, this I really like this side project that Justin Vernon is working, and it's a group called The Red Machine with another guy. The guy's name is Darren or something. If you don't know who Justin Vernon is, he's fresh out of Milwaukee. Since we talked about Milwaukee and Marquette earlier, that'll tie it all together nicely. And he is Bon Iver. If you don't know who Bon Iver.
Yeah. Bon Iver. Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Bon Iver.
Matt took French in high school, so that's why he gets to pronounce it more than this hillbilly from Antioch.
So I'm really enjoying that. There's just I think I might have even posted the song in the marketvitals.io network earlier this week. But I really I love it. It's like he makes
it's the Red Machine.
The Big Red Machine, I think, kind of like the Cincinnati Reds. It's either the Red Machine or the Big Red Machine. You kind of swung that on me here, so I didn't have it prepared. But yeah,
that's how we work here, though. It's just like the market; it just presents itself, and then you got to react.
Right.
That's what trading's all about.
That is what trading is all about.
And you better be ready with an if-then statement.
And I'll throw another one. I'll throw another band out that was introduced to me by my middle son this week, and I've also enjoyed listening to them. And they've got a brand new album, and it's called Summer Salt. Is the name of the band.
Summer Salt and Big Red Machine.
Yep. And Summer Salt has a new album out called The Juniper Songbook, which is kind of a greatest hits. They're new versions of old songs and a couple new songs. And if I wasn't that familiar with their old songs, so it's a really good rework of their past work that kind of came out over COVID. So it's probably pretty smart. They've been around. They've been making music probably 5 or 6 years. Young guys. I think they're out of Dallas, and then they found their way into the LA world. But yeah, they put out some really good stuff. Summer Salt. And
all right, man, as this market doesn't gently weep anymore, it continues to stay strong. And if you've been listening to us, we have pointed this out, that bear market rallies are vicious. We've been all over this one. Thank you.
Yeah, the bonds again are.
Again, you bring up the bonds because it is so important long term. Again, kick save for the 152 level. That we've been talking about for so long, I'm sick of talking about it. It's kind of like a lot of other things in the world today. How sick are you talking about it?
Yeah, let me bring it up here. Just give me a minute. Yeah, no, but it got crushed. Remember we talked about it.
Yeah, bring it up. We don't see it.
No, I know. I'm trying to get it into
trying to find it, folks. Hang tight.
I have a large alphabetized list. It's not random like yours, but I was at the A's, so I do have to scroll down to the Z's, and everything's a little Z slow today.
How about Z? Speaking of Z, how about Xi sending the aircraft carrier through the Taiwan Strait right before he gets on the phone with Biden?
I know, that's great.
What are you going to do?
Come on, tough guy. He should say that too. Come on, tough guy. Because doesn't Biden consider himself a tough guy all the time?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He
all right, here's the deal. This is the daily again on the bonds. We always like to, start with kind of the long-term picture. 150 was kind of that low. We're sitting at 152, and I've got the line drawn right there. As we, kind of peel in a little closer, you can kind of see that we're right at it again. We're right at the, the go, no go, 152.5, and we're right there. So this is an interesting level once again, and we've been dancing with it most of this week as the market. This is what's interesting, right? Interest rates are going higher. The market shot to the moon, which it doesn't make sense if you believe that interest rates are going higher, which the Fed.
I mean, how many things don't make sense when you look at valuation?
Right. But this is this is the story here again. We had that rally all the way up to 160, which we said, it's not real. That's gonna fade away. So again, that worked out nicely. Gold sold off, oil sold off, but oil again rallied from where we talked about it Wednesday when we said this is a good area to buy. It went from 95 to 106 yesterday. Crazy, like huge moves. So this is a full round trip. You see how quickly this, they just ran the stops. Anybody short down here got rammed, right? Which is why it went up here, because they had to cover fast.
And that was also flight to quality from Putin. And
right, but I'm just saying, once you got above that, like the gap up here, to here, and then it tested, and then it went a little higher, and now it's all the way back. So all that, if you wanted to sell, that was a great entry, like for your longer term trade, to get bonds back on up in that area. I mean, that was fantastic. It was a wonderful opportunity because rates, as we know, they raised a big quarter. It's funny, like if Paul Volcker was around, the guy would be raising a 1.5, 2 points. At a clip, he would have. Can we make the Fed great again and bring back a Paul Volcker type character? Because
it's hard to do that when they're all trading their book.
But I'm just saying, he was the in my lifetime the only great Fed head. After him was the Greenspan era, and we're still muddling. We're still muddling through the Greenspan era. So what's that been? I mean, Volcker was late 70s, early 80s. Big man, by the way. Have you ever seen him speak? He was like 6'8". He was a power forward somewhere in his day, I've got to imagine.
Matt.
He was an intimidating figure, not only with his size, but with his interest rates cuts or raises.
Next week will be interesting to see if we can follow through with this rally, because there's, quite frankly, there's a lot of room to expose to the upside in the equities. And so we can stay in a bear market. We can finish the year a lot lower than we are now. That doesn't mean that we can't go test much higher levels going forward here. And that's believe me, in so many years on the trading floor, you got to be prepared, and you have to understand the potential in the market, and the profile does a great job of doing that. So does standard deviation modeling. If you don't understand the potential, you're going to get wrecked. And not only that, if you're going to leave money on the table, because understanding those potentials also gives you the ability to stay in a trade longer, right? It's like, I'm up good money, but the potential is so much higher. I have to commit to leaving some of the trade on to expose the potential, either in the profile or in the standard deviation modeling. It truly is what makes the great traders great, is that ability to expose the total potential of a move versus.
Yeah. And I think that's a really hard thing for people to do, and whether long or short, right? I think it's really difficult for people to understand that, like, there is a counter trend within the main trend, going on. And that's why, again, you can't just look at a 2-minute chart, and you definitely can't just look at a weekly chart. You got to I look at, really 9 time frames in between. And if you do that regularly, if you kind of flip through those, from a 5-minute up to a weekly or a monthly, right? If you do that, the longer term, you don't need to do more than once a week, right? Because it's only changing.
The levels are again,
they don't change that
potential.
But you do want to know which time frame is in control of the markets you trade. And the one way to do that is really look at the multiple time frames. Like this week, I would say, the 60-minute, hour, or the 240 are in control right now. So until they flip back the other way, and right now they're bullish. And so if you've been trading shorter term charts, it's probably been hurting you because you're not paying attention to.
For sure too, because especially with these moves, the shorter time frame gives way too many false signals.
Correct. And so, look at a 60, look at a 240, and you'll be like, oh wow, like look at it, just ride that line. Like it's riding, a simple exponential moving average very nicely right now. That's algo, right? And so that's the algo that's in charge until it's not in charge. And to your point, we're already up 10% in the NASDAQ in 3 days. And there's
a question. If we go up another 10%, does that put us back into a bull market? Because
it would be, well, yeah, because we would, even now, we're technically out of a bear market because 16.9 into 14.2. Yeah, we're not in a bear market technically today. Right. By the 20% guys, right? That's what they say, But when you look at the right-sidedness of all these stocks and that's happening out there, it becomes pretty evident, right? There's still not signs. We haven't even had bad economic signs yet, for God's sake. Why are we building back? Why are we building back better when everything's so good? Like, well, that's the whole, that's like, I was thinking about that yesterday. I think they came up with the build back better before COVID because they thought this is what's interesting. Like these manipulators, the World Economic Forum, they thought that COVID would bring the market down. They did.
The resiliency was unbelievable.
No, and it did the opposite. It went freaking to the moon. This is why they don't understand that, they didn't recognize that governments would come in and bail everybody out. So, the whole thing is messy. It's really messy.
All right, Matt, happy St. Joseph's Day to my fellow Italian. Please have a great weekend. Please mind the mo, be disciplined, trade disciplined, understand your levels. Join us at marketvitals.io, and we can help you along that path. Thank you, Matt.
Bob, thank you very much. Go Loyola of Chicago. I hope they, I hope
Ramblers.
I hope they have some fun with the Buckeyes today.
Right on.
I hope they have some fun. Let's see if is there an early score here? Do I have one? Let me see. I don't know. I got a commercial running. Have you seen a score?
Have not. Going there now.
Let's see. Loyola looks like they're winning. Looks like they're 2 for 6 shooting, and Ohio State's 1 for 5, and they got 1 3-pointer, so it's at 4-7. Looks like 7
5 game right now.
7-5, 5-2, something like that. I don't know.
It's 5-5.
Okay.
Commercial break.
All
right, Matt. Thank you.
Bobby, have a great weekend.
Right on.
And Sister Jean is looking rough. Oof. They just showed her. Wow, how old is she now? Like 117?
Yeah, she's 158 in prayer years.
Wow. Yeah. I'm praying for her. I'm praying for her because they need to take her off that screen.
All right.
Oh, big dunk for the Buckeyes. Big dunk.
Kennedy down low. All right, goodbye. End the broadcast.